All right, class. First off, it's always good day. I'm glad you're here. So today we're going to be looking at, sorry, President FDR's administration. Basically, when he becomes president, we're going to look at all the things that he did. Um, we're going to look at, the programs he did, what he did to try to help out the economy, and we're going to create an argument on whether it's fair that a president is judged in their by their first 100 days in office. Okay, so here is your warm up picture. Now, President FDR is that guy smiling. You see right there, the bigger guy, right? Um, so if you notice his size compared to Congress, the other person in that picture, if you don't see that person, if you look down a little to the right, you see on the back of their shirt says Congress. There was a couple students who couldn't find them, but there it is for you. So what the question is asking you this: what is this artist trying to say about FDR, President Roosevelt? So look at his size compared to Congress. Look what he's saying. Look what he has in his hands. Add that all together. Okay. Again, I should not be reading. I see a big guy with a spoon. That's not what I'm asking. Okay. What is this artist trying to say about him? And again, look at his size compared to Congress. Look what he's saying. Look what's in his hands. Add that all together. You can even see a subliminal message. It's not really subliminal, but you can see it clear as day. Okay, so take your time, actually think about it, and answer the question. Okay, so pause the video because we're moving on in three, two, one. So the president before Roosevelt, Hoover, he felt like a lot of Republicans that the government should have no interference with the economy. Let business people do what they do best. Let the business people handle the business stuff because that's what they do, right? They know all about that stuff. But here's the problem with that: business people only look after themselves, they don't care about you. They don't care about you at all. If there's a nickel between you and them, you better cover your throat because they'll cut it. Because they all they care about is your money. If anything about you, it's your money. You know, so that's the problem. And I gave the example in class. It's like if you had a factory where they made beer, you wouldn't put the person in charge. You wouldn't hire an alcoholic. Tell them, hey, go ahead and hire people to run the brewery, to run the beer factory. Because what they're gonna do? Chances are they're gonna hire other alcoholics. And is anything gonna get done? Is anyone gonna, like sell stuff? No, they're gonna, get wasted. They're gonna enjoy themselves. And same thing with business people. Letting them run the business side of everything, they're only gonna look out for what's best for them and not for anyone else. Okay. Here's another thing you have to remember for back then: there was no safety net. And what I mean by that is like when you lost a job back then, that was it. Nowadays, if you lose your job, you can get unemployment. But back then, they didn't have that. So if you lost a job, you better find another job quick, fast, and hurry because you got no money coming to you. Old people, they worked until they couldn't work anymore. And if they didn't save any money, I mean, they would have to like either keep working or depend on one of their kids or somebody, because they weren't getting any money from the government. No social security, no none of that. No pension, you know. So that's why, like I was saying it in class, some of those families back in the day were like they had like 12, 15, 18 kids because a lot of times those families were like maybe one of these kids will become, rich and successful and then we can live with them, you know. It's a sad thing, but that's what happened for some of these some of these families, you know. So by the time the election year came up in 1932, 15 million people in our country could not find a job. There was no jobs anywhere. There's people traveling from town to town looking for a job. Okay. To put it in perspective, that's basically 20% of our country. Okay. So if you want to break it down even more, for every five people, one person couldn't find a job. So look around, like where you live, your block, your neighborhood, some of that, and think how many people live there. And just count one, two, three, four, five. Okay, one person wouldn't have a job. One, two, three, four, five. Another person would have a job. And you'll realize like, wow, that's a lot of people. And that's just your block, your apartment complex where you live. Can you imagine the whole country? Yeah. So the election comes, people basically look at President Hoover and go, you know what? We gave you a chance. You messed up. So let's give this other guy, FDR, a chance. So he wins in the landslide. March 4th, 1933 is his inauguration day. This is when the president becomes the president, takes the oath, gives us speeches, go to dances and things like that. So on his inauguration day, when he's sworn in as president, he basically tells, his people, hey, tell the banks to close. Okay. All right. And in his inauguration speech, he says one of the greatest things. He says, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And the way I explain this in class is like this, especially for, you teenagers, if there's somebody that you like, and you want to go on a date with them, but you're kind of scared because you're like, well, what if they say no? What if they reject me and things like that? See, it's that fear that's holding you back. Because if you ask them and they say no, what's going to happen? Nothing. They're going to say no, and that's it. You know, your whole life is not going to crumble. The world's not going to just end and the world's going to explode or something. No, the world's going to go on. You're going to live on. But hey, now you know they said no, so whoop whoop. But if you ask and they say yeah, guess what? Bam. But what was holding you back originally? That fear of looking silly, the fear of rejection, the fear of whatever it may be. And he's saying, you know, you don't have to fear anything. That fear is the thing that's holding you back. And if you get rid of that, you're free. All right. So inauguration day finishes, right? People are dancing, they're done, they go to sleep. FTR, I mean, we're talking 5, 6 in the morning. He's already shirt tie, ready to go to work. And the first thing he does is he declares a 4-day bank holiday, basically telling the banks again, you guys are going to be closed for the next 4 days. Now, the reason he did this was so that Congress, he could meet with them and they could try to pass some reform bills, some laws, and try to help reopen some banks and pay back the people. Now, there were some people in Congress telling him, Mr. President, no, 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 no. See, you don't understand. We tried this with President Hoover. We gave the banks money and they gave it to people who were going to start a business, buy more farmland, and they never got the money back. So, yeah, your idea is dumb. And he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. See, here's the difference. He gave them, gave you guys gave the banks money to lend out to people. Why would you lend it out to people? Nobody's buying anything. So why would somebody start a factory up? You know? So that was a dumb mistake. Second thing is, why would somebody buy more farmland when nothing's growing? We're in a drought. There's no water. So why would they do that? See, the banks are only concerned about making money. That was their problem. But he's saying no. Excuse me. The banks When they get the money from us, they're going to give it to the people. So if let's say so and so person number one put in $300 into that bank, he's saying they're going to get those people are going to get the $300. If another person number two, put in $1,000, hey, guess what? You're going to get your $1,000 because when those people get their money, they're going to buy things, food. They're going to pay for rent, pay the bill to turn on the heat. They might, you know, say, you know what, we've been wearing these clothes for 3 years. Let's see if we can find some cheap clothing. But the thing is, they're spending money, and when they spend money, then these companies, these factories, and so on, they will be getting money. And then, hey, look at now all of a sudden, people are wanting more shirts, more pants, more shoes, whatever it may be, more furniture. And then these companies are going to need workers, so then they can hire people. And when they hire people, then those workers get money, and then they start buying things, and that will get the economy going. Okay, that's what he's trying to tell them. Okay, now another thing that really helped him out was the radio. Okay, and he spoke directly to the people. Now, like I said in class, if you watch the news, you'll know these newscaster people. They talk to you, just giving you facts, telling you about what's going on. There was a shooting today at such and such place. There's a fire at this place. There's this going on at this place. The Dodgers are playing so and so. You know, they're just talking like that. He, however, would not talk on the radio like that. He would get on the radio and tell people, "Look, I know you're going through a lot of trouble. I know things seem bad right now, and they are, but we will get through this. The government, we're doing these things. We're trying to get these programs going so that people can get jobs from this place to this place to this place. You know, you guys suffered for the past like 3 years. I get it. You're hurting bad, but we will get through this. Just hold on a little bit longer." And those radio broadcasts brought a lot of hope and restored confidence in people in not only the government, but the president. Okay. Now, Roosevelt did so much stuff in his first 100 days. He passed laws, he passed reform bills to help stabilize factories and agriculture. And at the same time, creating programs that were creating jobs to pay American citizens to do things that not only helped us build things, but also made our country better. you know so it's because of him that every president since him, their first 100 days in office, people look at what they've done, that new president, and go, okay, let's see, this is your first report card. How'd you do? Because again, FDR did phenomenal, did so much work in this first 100 days. They look at every president since and they go, let's see your first 100 days, what'd you do? Yeah, not too much. you know He didn't do too much. He did, or he did some stuff. It just depends on the person, the president. So one of the biggest reforms that FDR did was for the banking industry. He created the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC. So remember when I told you guys from a couple lessons before, if you back in the day, if you put your money in the bank and the bank got robbed, you lost your money. But with this, the FDIC, your money is what you put in the bank, and the bank is part of the FDIC. Your money's protected. So if somebody comes and robs the bank and takes the money, you can go to the bank later on and be like, "Yeah, I want to take out some money," and they'll tell you, "Okay, either we have it or the money's on its way. The government's bringing it in. Just hold on." But you're going to get your money, as opposed to how it was during this Great Depression, where people waited years to get some money, and some of them never even got $1 back. So that was one thing he did. The other thing was, again, to prevent a bubble happening in the stock market, and for these business people to like lie about their business and things like that, so that the stock can go high, but the company is actually worth down here. They created the Securities and Exchange Commission. And these guys regulate the stock market and prevent investors and companies from ambushing the stock market and trying to make it crash, trying to corner the market, things like that. So if you've ever heard of Martha Stewart, you probably have heard that she went to jail. And it's that group, the SEC. They're the ones who were like, wait, something's not right here. Because if you don't know, what she did was she had insider knowledge, insider trading. Basically, somebody told her that this stock that she had was going to go down. So she held on to it till the last moment, and then she sold her stocks, and then all of a sudden it becomes worthless. And the SEC was like, wait, something's fishy here. So there's a big old red flag here. How did she know to cash out right there at that point? You know, they look at this stuff, and they found out that, yeah, somebody told her that, hey, the stock's gonna go down, around this time, and yeah, so that's what they do. That's They make sure that everything's okay. Now, a student said in class, going on that Martha Stewart thing, oh, what's wrong with that? It's good for her. That she's being smart. It's like, yeah, you say that now because it's not your money. Now, let's say you put some money in the stock market and you see that your stock is going higher and higher. It's like, oh wow, I put in $100, and now that stock of $100 is now worth $8,000. You know, and it's just going to keep going up, and all of a sudden it drops, and you're like, well, what happened there? Hey, but this one person in particular, who basically told you, hey, you should put your money in, and was a shining example, telling people, yeah, put your money in the stock, this stock, this stock, and all of a sudden you find out they cashed out. They basically took your money and they're gone. You'd be very upset, you know. So again, you may see it like, oh well, she did smart thing, yeah, because it wasn't your money. But if it was your money, I bet you anything you wouldn't feel the exact same way. So all the programs that Roosevelt had and created for the recovery of the economy was part of this thing called the New Deal. Okay, other countries would copy us, France, England, because it was a pretty good plan. Um, and again, the public works projects, they employed people. Remember, there's like 15 million people who need jobs, and the government's like, you need a job? Okay, we got something you can do. And what you're going to be doing is giving back to the community, the people, the state, the country. So, a great example of this is the Tennessee Valley Authority, the TVA. Basically, they built a dam. Okay. They realized, like, hey, this area floods all the time. It destroys the crops, kills livestock, destroys homes, you know. So they said, well, why don't we build a dam? And when we build the dam, we'll have an abundance of water. Okay. The crops won't get flooded and die. The homes and the animals will be okay. And you know what? Why don't we put like these turbines in there? And like how the turbines turn when the water goes through it, and then have when they turn, they're going through like a generator, and that creates electricity. And now we have electricity, you know, basically using the mother nature, the force of water, to turn the turbines and create electricity. Wow, you're killing like five birds with one stone. So when they did that, they were looking around the rest of the country going, where else could we put a dam and do that same thing like we did in Tennessee? And they found a place on the Colorado River. And that's what you see in that picture right there. And that's Hoover Dam. Okay. Now, really quickly before we move on, guys, please do not believe the stories and myths, especially stuff on TikTok. Nobody's body is in Hoover Dam. Okay. Did people die? Yes. The scaffolding, the really high area, where they had the beams and stuff. Did people fall and die? Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely did. But it's not like they went, oh, there goes Ted. Oh, dang it, he's dead. Uh, Bring in the concrete. Let's cover him up. No, they didn't do that. Okay, that whole myth and legend about Hoover Dam having bodies in there, pure crap. Okay, it's pure crap, guys. So don't believe that. Now, the Works Progress Administration, the WPA, this is one of the bigger government projects that was around, and they employed 8.5 million people from 1935 to 1943. And basically, what these guys did was they, created roads, created new ditches. Like here in the valley, they would go out to the mountains and clean up the brushes, cut down the dead trees, take out the roots, plant new trees, you know. Um, so they did quite a bit, worked on bridges and so on. That they did things that made America, um, better, stronger, cleaner, nicer, you know. Now, the United States was one of the very few countries left that were industrialized but didn't have unemployment insurance. So we did that. The other thing too is Congress passed the Social Security Act. Now, there's one thing I did want to tell you guys. It's not on your notes, but it's something you need to hear because again, people on TikTok and politicians, they don't know what in the world they're talking about. Okay, when it comes to Social Security. Um, Here's the thing with Social Security, guys. Like me right now, I've been working for the past 20 something years, right? That money they take out of my check, and it says on their Social Security, that money goes into like a big pool, right? Social Security money. People like my parents who are older, you know, one of them's retired, the other one's he wants to retire. When they get their Social Security checks, they'll take from that pool of Social Security money. My Social Security money, and same thing with everyone else's who's working right now, it doesn't go to like a special account just for you. It doesn't do that. It goes into a big pool. Now, when you guys get jobs and start working and you get to my age, right? When I go on Social Security, I'll be going digging into that pool of Social Security money. And it's the money that you guys are putting into it. It's always the generation before that's putting into it that the older generation is then taking out from it. So let's say in the future you guys have kids and they don't work for nothing. They don't want no jobs, they don't want to do nothing, stuff like that. When you get to be an old person and you're like, well, I'll need to get from the Social Security pool, there's not going to be any money in there because your kids aren't working. They're not putting Social Security money into the pool. So it's going to run out. So that's why it's important that the generation before actually works, pay their taxes, do all that stuff because it goes into the big pool. Okay. Um, and if someone ever says anything like, well, that's not how it goes, that's not how it works, just tell them this. When it first started, how did those old people get Social Security money? They didn't put into it because it just started at this time. So how did they get money out? It's because again, there was a lot of young generation people during this time who was putting working and putting money into the Social Security pool. Okay? So hopefully you understand that and don't listen to the people on TikTok and these politicians and people on YouTube who try to tell you anything different. They're full of crap. Don't listen to them. Okay? Last part. This is the first time Americans have ever had unemployment, disability insurance for people who, can become disabled and they can't work, and pensions for old people. The first time ever. That stuff we still have to this day. And it all started because of President FDR. So, as time was going on through the 1930s, the economy did start to recover. Okay. Not like leaps and bounds and oh my gosh, we're out of it in 2 years. No, guys, it took a while, a long while, to get out of the Great Depression completely. But the thing is, we're making progress. We're getting out little by little. Like I said, the next 3 years of FDR's administration, um, companies are making things. They're hiring their old workers. They're starting to build things. The workers are now working regular hours. They're getting paid. They're buying things. So the economy starts getting back to the way it was. Not completely, but getting there. And this is where the government messed up in 1937. They were like, you know what? Things look pretty good. Let's increase the interest rate on the reserve, Federal Reserve. The thing is that means the loans, the interest rate jump up and stuff like that. And we hit a recession because of that. So the economy went back down a little bit. And then the FDR and the administration were like, ooh, dang it, we messed up. Let's go back to the way it was. Sorry, guys. Sorry, that was our mistake. You know. And then the economy started rolling up again. Okay. Um, the reason I put this down is, guys, because a good administration of a president, if they make a mistake, they try to fix it. And typically they go back to the way it was before. They don't go, oh, no, no, we're going to keep this, but let's see if we can do this or do that. Do that. No, they realize, hey, this was a mistake. Let's go back to the way it was. My bad. They admit fault. An administration that does not admit that they did something wrong, they're like, oh no, we did everything right. It was you guys, it was the people, it was this other political group. Those are the groups that are not good for our country. Okay. Now, like I said in class, things are going great now for people. People are starting to relax a little bit. They're starting to, instead of just wondering about how they're going to survive from today to tomorrow and stuff like that, now they're actually like enjoying life. And people are like, what's been going on in the world? And they come to realize, like, oh my God, there's a bunch of new leaders around the world. In Italy, there's a guy named Mussolini. In Japan, there's an emperor guy named Hirohito. In Spain, there's a new guy named Franco. Uh, and in Russia, there's a guy named Stalin. And in Germany, there's a little dude with a little Charlie Chaplin mustache named Adolf Hitler. Now, the thing is, though, in 1936, the U.S. Olympic team, the Summer Olympic team, went to Germany to do the Olympics. And they were amazed, like, wow, this place is beautiful. The people, it looks like there was no Great Depression. These guys look good. The companies are functioning. Businesses booming around town. In Munich, the Olympic people were just amazed. So they're like, what's Hitler doing? That's so great. And then rumors start to spread that there's mistreatment by Hitler to certain citizens in Germany. And if you haven't figured it out, we're talking about the Jewish people. Okay. At first, it was rumors because there was no like definitive proof. And there were some people coming out saying, hey, um, things are getting bad over there, you know. But there was no like smoking gun, proof like that yet. Now, on September 1st, 1939, Germany attacks Poland. They invade it. And the thing is, 2 days later, Britain and France declare war on Germany. And this is the beginning part of World War II. Now, President FDR basically was asked, which side are we on? Are we going to be with Britain and France? we're going to be with Germany and Italy and Japan. FDR is like, we're not on either side. Okay, we're not picking sides. Now, remember that WPA group, the group that was cleaning, making the roads and some of that, right? He changed what they were doing from cleaning the brushes at the national parks and some of that to creating roads from base to base, going to these military forts and cleaning them up, taking out some old guns and putting in some new ones, you know, strengthening the walls, the bridges, things like that. We were neutral, but we were preparing because really, my personal belief, FDR knew one way or another we're going to get brought into this war. So once you have finished this, you're done with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Um, you also should have gotten uh, the project paper. If by chance I forgot to give you it, or you've lost it, or you forgot it at school, it's okay. I can give you a new one. Okay. But you're going to have like a month from today. See, today is April 9th. So if you're Tuesday, Thursday, you're going to have until May 9th. If you're Monday, Wednesday, you're going to have until May 8th, okay, to get this done. And again, it says in the instructions, you can work by yourself or with the partner, and you have options. So when you get the research paper, take a moment to actually read it and go through it. Okay. So with that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.